Dota!
Have a drink.
You know, he's not actually gone. He's just sitting under the desk right now drinking his pear water.
Kiss.
I still don't get why it's Beatles versus Stones. Neither of these countries has any claim to either band.
Well, I don't know. Maybe the people who were doing it in production were drunk. It could be. I mean, I've seen them with booze in their hands.
Yeah, the other day they left with bags of it. They didn't give us a bloody sip.
Yeah,
Just
that's
a
true.
sip.
But didn't he say that he only brought like one beer a person?
That was a lie.
Yeah, it could have been. Maybe they just don't like me.
10 seconds.
I'm the only American here.
You are.
I'm like the...
I'm American as well. South American.
Yeah,
yeah, but that's
Jesus,
not really the
Driscoll.
same thing.
Whoa.
People don't look like... You know what I mean.
Reserve
Yeah.
time.
Anyway, we're in Fnatic versus Team Liquid. It's the first game of the day, and it's been a pretty slow day. We've had a couple of interesting segments about random stuff that I honestly zoned out most of the time because I was just in the lobby reading the chat because I found that more entertaining. However, we are now into the draft, and we can see Visage taken out along with Wisp.
And with Visage out, that's one of Liquid's favorite heroes, by far.
Yeah.
They really want to use that Visage because you can put an offensive tri-lane, you can put it even in a dual lane. We've talked about how Visage kind of was not the greatest roaming hero, but they've been using it as a roaming hero as well, and it's kind of working. Because just if you have good heroes on the other side, either in mid that can burst or just in the other lanes, he gets those soul assumption charges really quickly. And the Grave Chill is useful every time because it's slow, almost as powerful as Venomancer's one
Team Liquid's
level, and it's
turn
quite
to
cheap.
ban.
So
It is.
kind of working there.
This band makes
The other
sense.
thing that I think makes it really strong with a lineup like Team Liquid usually run is the fact that, like you had mentioned during the pre-draft, Sam thinks that Elder Titan is ridiculously good,
10
which he is.
seconds
And you know what is really good with Elder Titan?
Ooh.
Visage.
I pressed
Because
the wrong
Visage
button.
takes away all your base
Bye-bye.
armor. You get a medallion baseline on that hero almost every single game. So you'll have a medallion,
Reserve time.
you'll have the natural attunement, you'll have minus armor no matter what kind of hero you are, regardless of whether or not you're a carry, and you just get obliterated by physical damage output, even if the team doesn't really have a huge sustained physical damage lineup, because just between familiars and getting right-clicked by the staple gun, it's a tremendous amount of damage. So I think Fnatic have done their homework here. They've banned out two very common heroes that we see Liquid get a lot. And I think this is the first time maybe in the
Fnatic
ASUS ROG
turn
Dream
to
League that
pick.
we've seen a Prophet banned against Liquid.
Yeah, I think so. And finally, fortunately.
Yeah, finally.
Because how good has Quickfur been with his Prophet so far?
He's been dominating, but even the
fantastic.
time, I think he played the clock once. Yeah, he played the clock one game where he didn't play the Nature's Prophet. And even then, he was amazing. So it's kind of hard. Now we see Fnatic getting the
Team
first pick,
Liquid's
Venomancer,
turn to
and I really
pick.
like that because this is one of the heroes that is
Team
really, really
Liquid's
strong
turn to
right
pick.
now. There was a recent article by Dota Metrics talking about in pubs what the right build would be
Fnatic's
for
turn to
Venomancer. And apparently, Maxim Poison Sting is a way to go
Yeah.
for winning games, which it kind of makes sense because if you're in a pub, you want to maybe get some right-click damage and maybe you want to harass a little bit. But also in pro games, if you're going wards, the Poison Stings make your wards so much better to the point where you can jungle at
Yeah.
level 1, well, level 2.
I think we've seen Puppy doing that
Puppy
on the
jungle,
Ancients. haven't
yes.
we? Yeah, yeah.
The irony is they actually lost that game
5
pretty hard,
seconds.
if I remember correctly. He
It's
was just
still a
doing that,
thing.
and he went a soul ring, I think, as well. And it was kind of just a complete slaughter. But no, I get where you're coming from, and the versatility of the hero is nice. The other thing that I think is good is he's one of the only supports in the game. We saw EGM actually do this. He can zone a Timber Saw
God,
by
yeah.
himself.
So hard as
Not
well.
really many supports in the game can do that. So when you have that kind of a lane presence, it kind of restricts what lanes Team Liquid can actually field. Because normally you'd be able to send something like an Elder Titan to the off lane and say, okay, we'll get our experience. But if you get Gale or Sting at level 1 and you just click on the Elder Titan, he can't really ever trade with you, and he's not going to use his spirit to just harass the Venomancer, and that's it. He'll try to go for CS and things like that.
So do you think that they'll probably put Titan mid in this game?
Well, they could still put him off
Fnatic's
lane.
turn
They
to
could put
ban.
him mid too. I think he's viable in both situations. I kind of like him more mid though, just for this kind of a draft, because after you see the Veno, you don't really think an aggressive lane right now because Timbersaw was picked second, which likely means that he's going to be the off lane or mid. And it's too early to really call where each team is going to be going with their tri lanes yet. And given the fact that Team Liquid said that they think that defensive tri lanes aren't very good, I also think that the other Titan would be much more reasonable to be seen mid here.
Yep, absolutely.
It's funny because they both sort of banned each other's signature heroes in a way.
Yeah.
We talked about Fnatic and the 2 games they lost last week. It was with No Tail in the Sand King, which was not particularly stellar. We talked about how important it is for Fnatic to get the proper hero to No Tail. And by banning the Naga Siren and the Wisp, you're pretty much limiting to going into either Sand King or one of those heroes that he isn't really amazing at.
Please not Sand King again. Like, please. The biggest problem that I have with the Sand King is the way that they used it. I don't think that as a hero, he necessarily has anything wrong with him in this patch. I actually think he can be really strong if you run things like Mirana, who is obviously banned. But just as an example, you could do a Mirana Sand King dual lane. Very strong, very hard to engage on.
Definitely.
But the way that they run it is they run defensive lanes and they roam the Sand King. And in that kind of a situation, you can essentially just lose out on a full hero's usefulness. It's like, okay, well, our Sand King's not going to get anything done, and he's going to walk around the map and hope that he can find a kill for his team.
Yeah.
So I don't think...
If I remember, he did get a kill after wandering for a while, but then he died a couple of times in quick succession, and it all went wrong from there on out. Yeah.
Team Liquid's turn.
It can spiral out of control very quickly. And those kinds of heroes too, who need like a baseline item, like a Blink Dagger or Arcane Boots, it's not really that effective to roam on a support who needs a core item.
Yeah.
It's the other argument that people say, why do you see so many Midases now? Well, a lot of the supports can effectively farm the jungle where Sand King can't. And plus, heroes like Crystal Maiden, sure, you can get stuff like Force Staff or Mech, but they're not typically seen as the Mech carrier, and they don't have a core item to get. That's why Midas is okay.
So here's a question for you, and I've wondered this for a while. Let's say I am playing Sand King, and I'm a support, and I'm doing this wandering around, and I die. Is it better for me to buy a TP and get back in lane? Or is it better for me to just walk back to lane?
The philosophy that I have is don't TP anywhere where you could walk. And the reason behind it is...
Well, you can go walk anywhere, Andy.
Right, but you can walk anywhere, but what you can't do is walk anywhere in time. Say, for instance, somebody is getting dove.
I see.
That's when you would TP because you wouldn't have the time to walk to that area. If you have the time to do it, you should always walk there.
Because it's a waste of money otherwise.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a waste of money and the cooldown.
Yeah,
if you buy 2 TPs and you TP to the tower, because if you only buy 1, then you're not going to have a TP once you get to lane. And then you're saying, this is the point where I'm going to stay for at the very least 60 seconds unless I want to waste time walking somewhere else. So, in my opinion, you pretty much should never TP to a tower unless the tower is getting pushed really hard or it's necessary to stop a kill.
Good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
What if you're a carry and you want to go back to your lane to farm? Is that okay?
In some situations, yes, it's fine. But that's also a judgment call that you would have to make in-game.
Fair enough. So now we see, and look at these heroes. You talked about how they are aggressive with, well, Team Liquid like to play aggressive. And these two are pretty aggressive heroes, if you tell me. And with potential for roaming, you don't want to be mid and just face Surprise, Vengeful Spirit, and Crystal Maiden. Really.
No, not at all. Because between the two of them, it's a triple nuke. And you're going to have minus armor as well coming out from the wave. And whatever is mid, with those two supports, it almost doesn't matter what it is. Like, you're going to get the kill, which is, I think, what you were kind of hinting at when you mentioned it. So it looks like it's going to be a Storm that's going to be going mid from Liquid, although this could potentially still be a safe lane Storm, and they could aggressively tri-lane with the other Titan, the Crystal Maiden, and the
TC
bench.
played Storm recently for Team Liquid, and TC is mostly their safe lane player. So I think if you're Fnatic right now, you can't be really sure or safe. The problem that you have is that if Fnatic really wants to put the Timbersaw in the offlane, I'm not sure how Storm fares against that hero.
It's okay. It's one of those lanes where you're both going to farm, but the Timbersaw is never going to kill you, because you should hit 6 around the same time that he does, unless he out CSs you really badly, which I can't really see happening in your safe lane, especially since Storm against melee Remnant is very good. And you can just walk to the wave Remnant whenever he tries to go for CS and just harass really heavily. So I think it would be a wash of a lane. And then in the mid game, you have to give the advantage to Storm because his mobility is actually better than Timbersaw's, although his damage is less. Team Liquid have a lot more damage follow-up in Crystal Maiden, Venge, and Elder Titan.
10 seconds remaining.
And now we see the pack for Fnatic. And with these three, we have the 3 cores. Timbersaw, Weaver, and Pack. It's only a support remaining. They have the Venomancer, which can go into the jungle and can get some level on his own. It seems to me that Fnatic is playing kind of a little bit of a greedy lineup, especially because, well, I was going to say that maybe they don't have a strong mid game, but they do have the Timbers on the pack, which makes them really strong. But the thing is that relying on that Weaver to go into the late game, once they get to that phase, if the Weaver has not been doing a great game during the mid game, I don't know how strong they can be, because Weaver is one of those heroes that requires so much farm and feels that it doesn't do much until he has that third or fourth item.
But don't you think that the strength of him is, if he does get it, he becomes such a monumental pain in the ass that it's almost worth the gamble, that you're saying, okay, we'll trust that we'll have a good enough mid game, that we'll get there with Weaver, and he will just become a nightmare, because he does become an absolute nightmare in the
There
late
is
game.
so much lockdown, however. There's a Crystal Maiden Frostbite, there's a stun, there's a grip from the Storm Spirit, there's a potential stomp from the Elder Titan. Of course, you can go a BKB and go past through that, but then again, if we're talking really, really late game, that BKB will be probably not too long.
Yeah.
So it all comes to how much damage you can do before they lock you down. And you can't really go and target the disabler, because there is not one disabler, but pretty much anyone in this team can screw you. Having said that, Team Liquid still doesn't have a super late game carry as well. So if they don't go for one right now, that Weaver will be the hardest carry in the game from the heroes that we see right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, between the two, it's either a mid or another one role for Team Liquid. Those are the only choices they have left, and it's going to be a Night Stalker. So I believe that PC is actually going to play the Night Stalker, because I know that he plays Night Stalker more frequently than he does Storm Spirit. So what I'm going to assume is that it is going to be a Elder Titan in a solo role. Regardless, I think it's going to be safe lane. Because if Team Liquid run a defensive tri lane after saying it was really bad with those two supports, I would be really surprised.
No.
And then
this is offensive tri lane.
The one thing, I agree with pretty much everything you said, Bruno, but the one other thing too is it's not just about the amount of disable that you have, but the capability of opening the fight, and Storm is amazing at that, because he can actually go in. He might be forced to go something like an early BKB though, because he's against the puck, and if you ball in a bad spot and you get silenced, you can very easily die. And they pick a Lion also to complement the puck in terms of lockdown capability, which I also think is a really nice choice. However, Team Liquid have what I would call one of the snowballiest type of lineups that you're ever going to see. If the Night Stalker and the Storm have a good start, it's going to be a field day on heroes like Venomancer and Lion. They're just going to die.
Yeah. But that does bring two kinds of CC that they, given that they otherwise they only had the puck.
Yeah, and the buff to Lion is really nice too, because at level 1 now, Hex lasts 2.5 seconds.
It's crazy.
Which they pretty much doubled the duration, I think, wasn't it 1.25
it was
before?
Something like that.
And it's like an instant cast as well.
Yes,
isn't
it
it
is.
It's not a real stun, however, because the enemy can still move
100 move speed.
very slowly.
Like a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, that was pretty annoying at Dire Tide as well.
10 seconds
However, have you played Dire Tide at all, Peter?
I have played a few games of it. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Yeah.
But the thing is, with that Lion, I actually remember seeing a Lion. It was Alliance versus DK that had the Pugna and the Lion, and the Pugna would decrep. And
900 damage Finger of Death.
Yes.
That was some serious pain. I saw that, and we were watching it together, I think. We were sitting in the office, and we were both like, ooh, we just saw it, because EGM was at like 90% HP, and you just see a Decrepify and a Finger, and he dies instantly.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Major
Fortunately for Liquid, there's no Pugna in this game, so that Finger of Death will not have to rely on that. However, I think we can actually look at these lineups right now and say, Pyrion.
Yes, sir.
Who has a stronger lineup?
Well, this goes back to what we were saying about the late game and the mid game. I do think that if you look at the heroes that we've got for Liquid, I like that lineup a lot. I especially like the fact that Night Stalker, when it's nighttime and he's having a good game, he becomes just an absolute terror for the other team. Rolling around, he never seems to be able to get away from him. He's fast, he can chase, and I like Storm Spirit as well, because he can ball in, grab hold of somebody and finish them off pretty quick. Plus, we've got, I know that Sam was saying, would he be playing the Elder Titan here, by the way?
He is playing it.
So that would be Bulber on the Elder Titan, Fluff on the Crystal Maiden, which is like one of his favorite heroes, right? So I think that's very strong. But then we look at Fnatic's lineup, and I don't know, I like all those heroes. I think they're good heroes. I know that some people are not huge fans of Lion, but
speaking of heroes, while we are going into the game, Andy, which one is the hero to watch in this matchup? Like, if you have to pick one hero and says this guy has to do well for his team to win.
Honey for Fnatic. It is 100% Honey's game here. The biggest problem that Fnatic are going to have is taking the team fights properly. And what Pyrini was saying in terms of hero strength, I do agree that Liquid's lineup is really nice, but we also have to look at the ease of execution. How hard is it for Liquid to actually execute when their strategy basically relies around run-in? I mean...
Run at them.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what their lineup does, and it does it very, very well. Where Fnatic, they have a lineup that has a lot of very weak heroes, and if they ever get behind at any point, they're going to have a very hard time recovering, which is a very Fnatic-style lineup. They don't really leave themselves any secondary way out. I would say that Liquid are kind of in the same boat, except their heroes are much harder to engage onto. You're going to need multiples, like 2 or 3 or something like that, to find picks, and the supports are still going to be doing just fine too. So for me, I think that Liquid probably have a slight edge here. The biggest problem that I have with Fnatic's lineup too is that Weaver against this team.
Yeah.
I'm just not feeling the Weaver pick, because normally you would say, okay, Fnatic can go into the mid game and start split pushing. Well, there's a Night Stalker and a Storm on the other team.
Yep.
And that's not a team that you want to really split push against, because you can get solo killed by either of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Now the question is also, knowing that there's probably going to be an offensive tri-lane, how well does Weaver does? Like, can she actually, he, I don't know. I think
He'll die if he gets caught.
Yeah.
That's basically what it boils down to, because
again,
you have double disable.
When you're going for a very expensive item as your first item, you kind of want to have that free farm. And if you're not getting it, then we might have to see a Weaver that resorts to medallions and some kind of alternate item builds to actually be effective. We'll have to see.
I mean, once he gets his Lincolns, essentially he could split push, and unless they all come after him.
Yeah, but once he gets his Lincoln, which against a contested lane, he will not get the free farm that he always wants.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's really, really hard for Era to actually perform properly in this game. So
Yeah.
he'll have a lot to do.
Well, you know who else is going to have a lot to do? Quakefa in bottom, because it's not actually a Timber versus Storm, which is what we kind of theorized that it could be. It's actually a dual lane against him, which makes it really dangerous, because during the laning phase, Storm, he has a lot of base armor and his damage is okay, but if he gets slowed or disabled, he kind of just falls over. He doesn't really have any way of escaping until he gets level 6. And if they can hold the Storm down, then their mid-game initiator outside of TC is going to be held down. And speaking of dying, it's going to be First Blood top.
Wow.
Era gets picked off by the tri-lane of Liquid. And I'm assuming he walked a little bit too close to his sentry ward and just ended up getting caught out.
Yep.
So unfortunate start for Fnatic. We knew that potential was there. It's like, yeah, if you get caught, you just die.
I'm wondering at this point, I'm just watching the way Koikva's moving, I'm wondering if he knows that No-Tail is here. No-Tail's hidden the entire time.
He will know now.
Yeah. Now he's going to get caught.
Well,
Well, No-Tail could have thrown the Gale, but oh no, Quakefa wants to go for him. Turns back around, throws out an auto attack, doing some overload damage. Trixie seemingly just oblivious to all this going on.
oh, and here comes the Gale.
But the problem is Trixie doesn't have Timber Chain, so he has to walk over, and Quakefa is trying to look for a kill.
Well,
There's a full creep wave on No-Tail as well. Quakefa taking some damage, Trixie's still around as well. Another Remnant is dropped, and Quakefa just falls down. That was a really awkward death, I'll just say it. That was like, you saw the Venomancer there, you walk back up to the creep wave after doing some damage, and then let him Gale you and then die.
A little bit of overconfidence, maybe. Trying to make sometimes you try to make a statement, even in situations where you're unfavorable. If you start trading normally, the enemy might say, oh shit, he probably knows something I don't, because normally a normal player wouldn't be trading hits with me. Mine! So maybe he was just trying to mind game No-Tail a little bit.
You can't mind game No-Tail. He's a Meepo player, man. He's like the ultimate mind gamer.
Yep. And the Meepo player has a bottle.
Well, the Meepo player has Hani's bottle.
Yeah, he's borrowed it.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
just getting it for his teammate.
He's just going to eat the DD and then give it back.
It could be a really easy kill on Bulba here.
yeah.
Although Bulba has boots. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be easy. No-Tail has boots too, though. Hani getting pushed in on the lane right now. Double damage is used. Bulba trying to escape. The Gale does clip. Very edge. Gonna see the Spirit thrown out. No-Tail taking some damage. Might be able to get the kill. The staple gun's there. Phase shift to make sure that Hani doesn't eat another hit. And it's going to be another kill going the way of Fnatic.
And everyone from Fnatic go out in very, very low health. But that bottle is there for the pack. And he gets a kill right now. So that hero that we had to watch and follow is going to be doing well against the Elder Titan. A matchup that's not really easy for the pack.
Elder Titan's good against everyone. I mean, he is a really just all-around fantastic hero, even if he's just in a 1v1. Doesn't have to be mid. But the thing about being mid is you can actually harass and push the wave better than some mid heroes can. Puck's not a great wave pusher. So being able to get rune control for things like that, Elder Titan can actually do in some circumstances. But the movement has been on Fnatic's side, and the supports have already been forced to rotate from top. Way2's made his way to at least the top rune for now, but we already saw Crystal Maiden go all the way down to bottom because he realizes, hey, Koikva needs some kind of relief here. He's only sitting at 9 and 5 CS, which is pretty bad.
Yep.
Is Elder Titan's mid presence, is that because his passive is so strong, natural order?
Yep, pretty much. The harass damage that he can do with it, and because of the bonus damage and the move speed that you get for every single creep and hero that you hit with it, it allows his CSing ability to be very significant in comparison to what other heroes get. I mean, he
hitting
hits
for 130 right now.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, bottom lane, Fluff. He's going to get caught out. Magic Missile actually on the No-Tail as well. Koikva comes in from the back, throws at the pole. He will be able to get the kill there on No-Tail. Fluff dropping as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade right now. Support for support. Trixie should be able to make it away from this.
Titan's coming.
He's 2 mana short from another nuke. He might have it in time. Trixie! Ooh. Trixie, no!
No, the feed.
He wants to die to the neutral camp, but it's not going to work. Boba punches him from what seemed to be like 400 range somehow. I'm not really sure how he got that auto off, but 3-3 now the score.
Well, now we have a game since Trixie died.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the Fnatic versus Liquid game. TC by himself against the Weaver and Liar. Now this favors the Weaver a little bit more, and that's, I think, the right call for Fnatic. They said, we need this Weaver to get some farm, so we can't really contest this tri-lane with a tri-lane of our own, but if we make things annoying for the mid and the bottom players, if we force the rotation, then... Oh, mid.
Gale mid again. Bulba, he's the one getting caught. Coil's going to be there as well. Hani dropping very low, though. He's going to be forced to jaunt and go to his orb. No-Tail actually going to be the one to drop. Triple Impale coming out from Fly, but he is a little bit late, and that's going to be another support kill for Liquid.
They can just leave TC here if it's nighttime, right? They're just like, okay, you'll be all right on your own at nighttime, and we'll go peace off and.
And he's destroying the Weaver as well. Not destroying. The Weaver is catching up, and he's 22. Last hits to 25. But TC has enough things in his own. He has the Urn and he has the Vote.
Yeah.
To the point he's tanky. He can move fast. He really doesn't mind.
Bottom, Koikva. He's getting caught. Not level 6 just yet. Teleport coming in. It's going to be from TC. Trixie's actually going to go down. No-Tail wants to kill on Koikva, but he's not going to be able to get it just yet. The Sting is there, but I'm pretty sure that's... Oh, no, it is a level 2 Gale. It's going to do damage, and they do get the kill.
That last tick.
But it's a 2-for-1 trade, and Liquid still edge him out.
Yep. And no one gets experience from the Storm Spirit death.
10 kills in the first 6 minutes, too.
It's a gamey game.
It's a gamey game.
Gamey game.
I'm glad it's a gamey game, too, because we've been sitting here for quite a while, and there hasn't really been a whole lot happening.
Well,
I'm glad that these two teams came in to fight each other.
Yeah. Well, the folks at home deserve a good fighty game.
Yep.
A fighty, gamey game.
I like how that sounds.
Thanks for sticking with us, by the way.
You're awesome. And if you didn't stick with us and you did something else and you came back, thank you anyways for coming back.
We basically, we don't have any standards anymore. We just thank everyone.
Yeah.
Yep. Some other people used to do that.
Shots.
So the thing is, right now, Liquid a little bit ahead in kills. Gold also going Liquid's well, but most importantly, no towers pushed.
Oh boy.
Oh, before I go into that,
Fluff.
You have to kind of run away.
He's got some spider sense, man. that was like perfect timing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they were smoked.
Well, but yeah, maybe.
He knows something's up.
They were smoked, and then they walked up the hill, and then he managed to walk away at the perfect time and not die.
Yeah. So I was going back to this point. It's like we're coming into this point where tower pushing might be something that teams will want to do. None of the teams have particularly outstanding tower pushing potential. But who do you think will have the best shot at actually pushing?
Liquid for sure. Mainly because their initiation potential is still going to be pretty good now that Quake is actually 6, and they have TC, even though daytime just rolled around.
So
which
you
makes
think their actual tower push won't be strong, but the engagements that might come from being around a tower is what would be the strength, right?
Well, it's actually both.
Fight,
I think their tower push in itself is actually stronger than Fnatic's because they have an aura, whereas Fnatic don't really have anything, and they have really poor right clickers, whereas Liquid have a Night Stalker who still does a reasonable amount of damage, an Elder Titan who hits very hard when he has his Spirit benefit, and then Aura and a Storm. So their right click potential is still higher than Fnatic's right now, And they can fight very well around towers because of Storm's mobility, the fact that TC is going to be incredibly tanky. And speaking of, he is disconnected at the moment, so we're going to have a bit of a pause. But I wanted to kind of talk about something that Bruno mentioned earlier in terms of rotating the supports. If I'm Liquid and I'm sitting there and I see, okay, we've first blooded this Weaver.
Yeah.
This Weaver's getting nothing done in the lane. But our Storm is struggling. The Storm died once, but the Weaver died once too. So it's an even trade. Is it worth it to move supports when you know that the only carry on the side of Fnatic is being held down, whereas you still have TC and Bulba technically to rely on? Because in my opinion, rotating supports in that type of a scenario doesn't really net you anything.
True. True, I can totally see what you're saying. And I'm totally seeing that ward as well, which is really pretty, the dire ward.
Yeah, it's the Witch Doctor word, man.
No, I have a Witch Doctor ward instead of that one.
Wait, then what one is that? I don't know,
That's
it just says
awesome.
warding guys. I looked like a thing that would be a Witch Doctor
Yeah,
ward,
yeah.
doesn't it?
Didn't it? Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh, Gale top lane.
It's
TC,
TC.
he's getting caught. He's
Yeah,
gonna try
look
to
at
TP
TP
away.
away.
Oh, coil, max range coil from Hani. Very nicely done. TC most likely gonna be dropping here, but man, he is really hard to take down.
Yep. Lots of investment to get that kill, but I mean, at that point, if you're Puck, you want to use your call to try and get kills. You want
Dire's
to
middle
give your
tower
Weaver
is
some
under
space,
attack.
and you want to use your support
Radiant's
in a
top
way that they're
tower is
useful.
under attack.
Weaver went for the hand of money now, and with that, she'll try to catch up.
Big investment, very risky investment. I don't think there's any real question about that.
No.
If Liquid decide to push off of that and they say, hey, this Weaver bought a Midas, we're gonna just try to destroy him, things could get really hard for Fnatic because this is a less than 700 HP Weaver, and it can be very easy to just kill him because you have an Elder Titan and a Storm who is now past level 6, so he can actually initiate, and he's got 3 points into Overload. People really underestimate how much damage a Storm does
Yep.
just by balling in, throwing out an auto attack between all of your abilities. It's something like 600 some odd damage just from doing that.
Yep.
And you don't even need items.
Yeah, crazy.
That's a good thing about Storm Spirit. You only
Dire's
need
middle
mana regen,
tower
pretty
is
much,
under
and
attack.
tankability as long as they have any kind of lockdown. But if Era is getting, well, it's just a little bit of harass. There's way to there, but I don't think they can jump into Era right now at this point without one more hero. But as I said, yeah, Storm Spirit really needs just a little bit. Everything he buys is more to support his skills. He goes for Orchid, he goes for Hex, just because those skills are good, not because he needs the stats in the items, or the items bring anything to him in terms of damage or movement speed or anything. So, yeah, Storm is a pretty okay hero, and that's why he got a facelift.
It's true. He got a tummy tuck
Bank,
too, man,
Yeah,
because he was looking a little chubby before the patch.
he also had the Nepo
Yeah.
doesn't have
Didn't
the-
he have both showing, or was it just
at
the
one point, I think. Then it was just one.
Possible
Then it's
courier
not.
snipe here.
Oh, possible fight.
Oh.
No tail, gonna get a double Gale. Coil to follow it up, and the stun, just everything dumped onto Fluff and Way2. Both supports are gonna be dropping here. The courier will be microed away from the action. Trixie, he's gonna spot out Bulba, misses on the Timber Chain Fly. He's taking some
the
damage. The
damage.
Spirit's gonna be there as well with the Void. Quakefa is able to zip in and get the kill. No tail, going for the TP. He's gonna get vision with the Remnant, but not enough mana to pull, unfortunately. And he will be able to TP to safety, so 7-7, more supports being traded.
No-tail bot at the last second before TPing, just in case he died. He bought the full urn. Clever decision by him, but actually he got away.
But they are buying time for Era top. And he
Dire's
now leads the
middle
way in
tower
last
is under
hits because
attack.
he's just been given that bit of time, and he's got his Midas as well.
Oh, and he wants to go on. Fluff. Are you
He
okay
really
here?
wants to go for this. He's going to go for the freeze, but he waited a long time while time lapse still sent him pretty far away.
Radiant's
Yeah, now
top
he's taking
is
tower
under
damage.
attack.
I was
like,
going to
wow.
say, he waited so long for that frostbite. You really want to force the Weaver to Shikuchi
Dire's
and then
middle
immediately
tower is
time lapse
under
because
attack.
that way he gets the farthest distance away from you. But he kind of hesitated there. It made me worry a bit.
But it's fine. Now TC has a double damage rune and it's night again. Second night, 12 minutes into the game. This is the night where now, with the new changes, Night Stalker has to make a difference.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough right now because he doesn't really have a target. If he goes for the Weaver, he has to be lucky and be ready. But Fnatic, they already have their items. Hani already has his Blink Dagger. And Trixie is getting levels on farm, which is always good. So, you know, even though you can silence the Timber Zone, he's pretty much nothing. This is still a really, really tanky hero that you can't just beat in a couple of hits.
And the cool thing about Timbersaw is that he's actually pretty good against Elder Titan because his reactive armor gives him armor that cannot be negated by natural attunement. You can only negate base armor, which Timbersaw has almost none of anyway. So it's a nice little thing to keep in mind for all those people who love playing Timbersaw. But rotation coming in from Liquid, they want to defend their tier 1 in the bottom lane. Quakeva's also sitting here, waiting to jump on anyone potentially that he's going to find. And this is the one surprise fight that Fnatic are going to have going for them, because they do have a blink. Hani needs to make sure to not get hit, though. He's going to be able to get a 3-man coil. Silence only hits on 1, though. Earth Splitter's going to be used. No Tail coming in from the side as well. Poison Nova is going to land on a couple. Earth Splitter eventually does go off Fly. He throws at the Finger of Death onto Quakeva Bulba. He wants another kill. It's going to be a double for him, but now he's dropping low. Trixie doing some damage. That puncher, it's so bad. He's going to get a triple kill for Bulba after taking out Trixie. Way too running around the creeps, getting baited into the sentry, and TC, he walks in as well. It's actually a team wipe. Fnatic lost everyone there. Fluff and TC on the side of Liquid still remain standing.
That Elder Titan punch, man.
That damage, like he hit everyone with that spirit.
Yep.
That was nice.
That's something that is really hard to estimate when you're playing against an Elder Titan. You know he hit a couple of your heroes, maybe 2, maybe 5, but how much damage will he punch you for? And then you see it and you're like, oh, whoops, a lot.
I think if you're Puck in that situation and you see the Night Stalker, you kind of have to just go in straight away, you know what I mean? Because the orb is always going to be used as an escape mechanism, but if you blink in, you know that you landed a 3-man coil there. Just blink in straight away, go for the silence, and orb out. I feel like hesitating and then being forced to silence just TC is kind of what lost them that, because if Bulba didn't get a good Earth Splitter or he didn't get his spirit to hit every single person, oh, hold on, Trixie.
Oh, Trixie.
Getting caught in the bottom lane, silence, double TP reaction coming in from Fnatic, but I don't believe this is going to be too fruitful.
It's not enough. One of the TPs is even cancelled.
Oh, and top as well. Era getting caught under a sentry, just bursted down immediately. Another teleport coming in, that's really not going to do much of anything. And Fly just decides to cancel it. And this is kind of what I was saying. You can't really buy a Midas and then not buy any kind of survivability items. Fluff and Fly are going to meet each other here in the river. Fly checking Roshan. Fluff going for the juke. He's going to get stunned. No Tails here as well. Should be a pretty easy kill. Hani coming in as well. Just
what a
kill secure.
That's
No
a dead
big
frog
deal.
there.
Dire's
Frog
bottom
there.
tower is under attack.
Spirit being used here, scouting things out.
Under attack.
He punches people. Now
Dire's
again,
top tower
3
is
people
under
hit by that
attack.
spirit. Bulba will get a shit ton of damage.
Dire's top
Yeah, that's
tower
actually what it
has
says in the
fallen.
tooltip too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It actually says
Says
for every
shit.
hero that you hit, shit ton.
Yep.
Look at him. Let's go. Oh, no, click on him. It's getting there. 219. Yeah, that's a shit ton. All right.
Pretty good hero.
That's crazy.
Decent.
I mean, he one-shots range creeps with that kind of damage.
It's ridiculous. So okay, now we see Quakeva, and Quakeva is, I think, correctly going into Orchid first item,
Radiant's bottom
Yeah, I don't
tower
mind this at
is
all.
under attack.
especially against a Weaver.
Dire's middle
against
tower is
Timbersaw.
under attack.
If you can get the jump on those heroes and silence them immediately, then maybe the Weaver you can solo kill because he has a Midas, and that's it. The Timbersaw you'll need some help, but most importantly, by silencing him, you'll make sure that he doesn't escape,
Yeah.
which is something that Timbersaw does really, really well. So things are going in Liquid's favor. Fnatic was kind of trying to take control of the situation for a while. They had a couple good team fights, but then after that team wipe bottom, things are going not their way. There's 2100 gold on that Weaver, however,
Dire's
so
middle
she has
tower
been
is
farming a
under
little bit.
attack.
Oh, she just spent it.
I think it's an orb.
Yeah,
it's an ultimate orb.
And that's the orb for the Lincoln, or maybe a Manta. But
It has
most
to be
likely-
Lincoln's. Yeah, you can't make Manta because reactionary items against the Storm, sometimes you can just not get them off in time and then you just die no matter what. And then it's a waste of money because the whole purpose to buy a Manta is to break the silence that you're not going to be able to stop anyway. So I think it's a warranted pick. I'm just really not sure about the Weaver pick in this game.
I'm not sure about Weaver
what would
picks
you
in any
rather
game.
see? Seen them
Dire's
pick.
top
What would you
tower
rather
is
do,
under
think?
attack.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily what I would rather. It's just the way this hero functions. He doesn't operate in situations where the team is pressuring you so hard. I think picking a ranged hero is fine, but it's not a real pure ranged hero. And Liquid, they always say themselves, we're never going to go a defensive tri-lane. And Fnatic had to have known that was going to be coming their way. And picking something that can farm, I would probably, if you could get your hands on it, just go for something like a Lifestealer, which I don't even think was banned.
No.
Yeah, it was banned, but very late, like
Yeah,
after
like
the Weaver.
after the
Fifth
first couple
ban,
of
I
picks.
think.
Dire's
So if you
middle
pick the
tower
Lifestealer
is
and you
under
go
attack.
aggressive, against the Storm, then the dynamic of the lanes changed
bottom
pretty
lane?
heavily.
Yeah.
TC is getting dove, maybe?
All on his own.
Well, he has an armlet, so he's going to be
Dire's
really,
middle
really hard to
tower
kill.
Has fallen.
He's even got an Ogre Club in the stash. If they try to dive him, they're going to TP. Like, there's no way that they can kill him fast enough.
They see him. There's a ward.
Maybe with Finger.
Dire's middle
They
tower
could.
is under
Honey,
attack.
he's going to catch him. Silence is there. TC immediately going for the TP. They're actually not going to TP to save him. That burst damage.
I'm surprised he went for the Impale Lion instead of going for the Hex, which has a bigger cast range and also it's immediate.
If you ground stun, the Impale's just as long.
Dire's middle tower
Is it?
is under
Yeah.
attack.
Oh,
When you target Impale, it's
Radiant's
actually
But he has
a
travel
shorter
time.
distance.
Is under
Right,
attack.
it does have a travel time, but he was not going to miss that. Like, there's no way. It's pretty hard to miss a stationary target.
no, I mean just like because he was TPing.
Radiant
If he
structures are
escaped,
fortified.
Oh, I see
Yeah,
what you mean.
you
yeah.
could have
Radiant's
blamed it on the
bottom
cast time. That's
tower
true.
is under
I agree.
attack.
There's an Orchid now
on
on Storm.
Storm. Yeah.
Good.
18 minutes in, and this is actually a guy who started off being dual laned and dying.
Yep.
And Era is not really that far behind. A lot of people in this game actually have quite high CS given the amount of kills that we've actually seen. 26
Yeah.
in 19 minutes is pretty high,
It is.
and everyone's still finding a pretty good chunk of farm. However, Liquid are buying items to fight, whereas Fnatic, they bought a Midas on their Weaver, which means that he still has some time to recover. The later the game goes, the better that's going to be for Fnatic. The question is, do they get that time?
Well, we'll see if they push this this bottom tower. For now, Liquid has taken 2 towers, and they have lost none. So it's going as you would expect it to go, which is Liquid with the initiative, Liquid with the
Dire's
more
bottom tower is
mid-game
under
oriented
attack.
lineup. Even though Fnatic, they do have good mid-game heroes, they're kind of hoping that Weaver will come online, but that would not happen for another 10 to 15 minutes.
I really want Weaver to come
Dire's
online. Sounds
bottom
like some
tower
kind
has
of
fallen.
weird Gundam
Radiant's
anime
middle tower is under attack.
online. Honey blinks forward, potentially looking for some kind of initiation. Not going to find it though.
Nope, and TC wants to charge right now because it's the 3rd night. Or, no, it's Darkness Night, is it?
He looks a bit spastic when he runs at night sometimes. It's like he just starts flailing his arms around and just going crazy.
He's happy.
Well, yeah, he's happy that it's nighttime.
Yes, exactly. He's like, yeah, it's my time. Dum dum da dum dum.
He looks too big
Does
for
he
his
really have his own
arms
theme
look
song?
He's not
for
too
his
big for
body.
it. Maybe he has like BO and he's just like he doesn't want to stick.
Yeah,
his
he's
arms
really
like-
wet under the arm. He's trying to keep his arms away from his body.
Yeah.
Get some air in there.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Never happens to me.
Never.
Ever.
Tyrion actually never sweats or poops.
Nope.
Like the Queen.
And he smells
Yeah.
like roses. So we have Fluff with the Midas as well.
Midas Gaming, man.
Midas Gaming.
Weaver Online also sounds like a really boring MMO.
Oh, you're online.
It could be.
Yeah.
Just the most boring
Did
MMO.
Fluff actually just TP'd to the top lane to farm the creep
Yes.
wave.
Of course he did.
Oh man, Era's up here.
That is a dead scene.
Well, but he has a hand of Midas.
He just
so
wasted bite. Era can just go on this. Yeah, there's no TP. Like, this is just a dead Fluff. Rest in peace, friend.
No.
That is also another reason why you just don't TP
you know
to
what?
an empty lane
You
to
know
farm.
what? Click on CM. Midas on cooldown.
Yeah, what? Fluff. Come on, buddy. You're better than this.
Dire's
Terrible.
middle tower.
I played
is
with a
under
CM the other
attack.
day who went Midas Shadowblade
How did that work?
terribly. We expected support, but instead we were like, why aren't you here for any of the fights? Oh, I'm farming my Shadowblade. Shout out to you, JP. I said,
It's
I'd
like
never,
that-
I'd never play
that-
with you again.
Have you seen the Crystal Carry comic on the Dota 2 Reddit?
No.
Where it's just like these. It's a really short comic, and the first one
Dire's
is,
middle tower
why do
is
we
under
not have a
attack.
support? And there's just a guy with a Crystal Maiden face posted over it, and the next one is him just jumping out, saying something in Russian, and he just runs mid. That's kind of what I feel Fluff was thinking right there.
Yep. So, I mean, here's the thing, right? We're seeing 27 kills in 22 minutes, which is pretty high.
Yeah.
But still, I don't feel anything is really happening in
10
this
of
game.
those were in the first 6.
Well,
So
it's
it's
because
slowed
when you
down.
see a lot of kills and not a lot of towers going down, no one's really relinquishing map control. If anyone is, it's Fnatic because they've lost all their tier 1s, whereas Liquid haven't lost any. So the only action that's really happening is whenever Liquid decide to pursue any type of aggression. Fnatic are playing the defensive, which kind of is the epitome of nothing happening because they're just waiting to get items.
But the thing is, if Liquid is the one running the initiative. Shouldn't they be actually being more aggressive? And I think they are right now. Oh,
Quake
that was a
does
huge
not
jump to
have-
nothing.
Oh, he has
Under
regen.
attack.
That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. Makes more sense that way.
I should have thrown the scarabs there just to fuck with this region.
Well, he
Oh,
was rolling anyway.
It wasn't cooldown anyways. If you roll, do you drop your scarab?
You don't drop it when you Yule, so I would imagine it follows you.
Yep.
They're a pain, those things.
They really are.
They bite you.
They're just a
bed bugs.
nuisance, aren't they? They're a good nuisance.
Agreed.
So now Liquid decides, no, top lane wasn't worth it, but maybe we can hit something in the lane and fly. He gets spotted.
Yeah, there's no Koikfa around though, so they can't actually engage, which is the only downside I would say to Liquid's lineup is that they kind of do have a more teamfight oriented kind of a style going for them. If they don't have everyone, then their team suddenly becomes a heck of a lot weaker. Elder Titan really thrives in 5 versus 5 situations where the AoEs from your team do a tremendous amount of damage. Things like Freezing Field are really gonna hurt when you get them channeled. And you can't really afford to waste disables or silences on any other heroes but Koikfa or the Elder Titan. Those are the two that you want to stop first and foremost. So it shouldn't be that hard for Fluff to find a decent ulti in these fights.
24-minute Lincolns for Era.
Yeah.
And here is the point where Weaver still doesn't do anything, but it becomes really hard to kill, and he can kind of split push on his own. Being rather safe. Rather, I'm saying, because you can still... They can still kill him if you get 2 or 3 people, but just not 1v1, as you would normally be able to do, even if he doesn't have that much help. Now, right now, if that Weaver... Now he has a Lincoln, he will get farm faster, he will not have any mana issues. What do you go for from here onwards, if you're that Weaver?
I think he goes treads into Deso. Like, he needs a damage item. He can't afford to do anything in terms of more defensive build. If he goes BKB, they're never going to be able to fight because TC's going to have BKB armlet treads by the time that he finishes up his BKB, which means that he's going to be a kitten to the Night Stalker, and he's just not going to care. He's just going to run past him, or whenever he tries to decide to split push, TC can just teleport to the lane, or Koikfa can teleport to the lane, and even though they might not be able to kill him, there's no way that he's going to stay there.
Yep.
And if you don't push fast enough while you're split pushing, then there's no point in split pushing. That's why you buy a Battle Fury on Anti-Mage, because the hero is already innately very difficult to kill, so the only thing that you can do to make him a threat is to make his split push so fast that you have to react to him. And then all of a sudden you can start pushing the waves in your favor. So I feel like a damage item is a necessity here, not just for team fighting, but also just to have a backup plan in terms of split push.
Yep.
Do you think that Liquid are winning this game? I mean, I know they've got more towers, but do you think that they're in a good position, or do you think that giving this Weaver the time is like letting the game slip away minute by minute?
I don't think it's letting it slip away. I think it's a risk, but they're a little bit scared to take any full-on engagements, whereas Fnatic, they might be able to spot somebody out. Silence on the way to. Hani's here in the top lane. Hex and a Koikfa as well in the back. They're not sure who they want to try to go for. I think Fly might just end up going down here. Nova and Gale going off on a Koikfa as well, coming out of No Tail. It's going to be dealing some damage, and the amount of time it took to kill that Vengeful Spirit.
Have you seen how tanky she is?
Well, yeah, she has a mech and shreds, so she is pretty tanky. But they could have potentially killed Koikfa there, which would have been a much more valuable kill.
Yeah. But at the same time, if that bench is left alive, she can swap, she can stun, she can maybe help Koikfa escape. So I think they wait for the safer target. And at this point, if you're
Radiant's
Fnatic,
top tower
you kind
is
of want
under
little
attack.
victories. You can't say this was a victory, however, because they lost the Lion. However, if that Lion had used his Finger of Death on Koikfa, which he didn't want to because he didn't know if he was going to kill him or not, the Nova Gale would have been enough damage to kill Koikfa as well.
Yeah.
Decisions. Didn't pan out.
Didn't pan.
Traded support for support.
It's been a lot of that this game,
Yep.
honestly. It seems like only supports are dying. I mean, Fluff's 1 and 4.
Yeah.
Way2's got 3 deaths. Fly has 3, and No Tail has 4. So it's like half the kills in the game are supports.
Yeah. And No Tail, we've been talking about how this Venomancer can get levels just by farming the jungle and gold. But he's the bottom of the last hitting table with 14. And look at Way2. Like, I can understand Fluff getting farm. 61 and 0 right now on a Crystal Maiden because he decided to go for a Hand of Midas. Now he gets a 4-staff. It's kind of the plan. But Way2 getting 55 last hits.
Not
Liquid is
bad.
farming every single one of those heroes. And if you, as Fnatic, let them do that, doesn't matter how strong your Weaver is, you can't fight against 5 farm heroes. Because with farm also come levels, and when you get a level 16 bench, it's also really annoying. I mean, we're far from that yet, but it will happen if they don't take care. He's already level 13.
Got 2 BKB recipes coming on the courier.
Yep. And oh, people has been spotted. TC just walking around. He knows he's the forefront of the battle. He wants to be nearby. If they initiate on him, Storm will jump. If they don't, he'll just walk and punch you.
Yeah. Punching hurts, man.
Punching hurts.
Especially if you have a spirit like the Elder Titan does, then it really hurts.
Bruno, am I seeing things? Or does Quickfire have 2 BKB recipes on the
He
courier?
does have 2 BKB recipes on the courier.
They're both owned by Liquid Quickfire.
Yes. He
Or is
just
that a
sold
bug?
once.
Oh, he sold one. Wowee.
Yeah, that's a
misclick.
pretty expensive misclick, actually.
Yeah.
Because that would have been the money for his Mythor Hammer that he now needs to finish his BKB. Because we need 700 and...
So no, it's 75%, I think.
No.
Recipes.
Recipes are 75, yeah, you're right. Okay.
So it's still expensive because he got back like 900 or something. Still, kind of hurts. You want every little bit of gold, and this is pretty much throwing a death away. It's the same amount of money you would lose by dying. Now Boba is getting chased by Era, which has a DD, but here comes the rotation by TC, and also no one else.
Oh, he's
Flav.
gonna get Novid. Oh, wow. Goodness, that was some pain.
Goodness gracious, Lord. Boba is really low health, so he has to be careful here.
Yeah. He doesn't have a TP either. So the unfortunate part is that Era's not scouting the lane. Because they want to go for the tier 1 because this is going to be their first tower of the game at 30 minutes in. So I think this is probably the better idea instead of just going very risky for the kill.
Gonna scout. He sees there's no one down there, so maybe he goes
Radiant's
for this
bottom
tower.
tower
Just
is under
3
attack.
punches.
He doesn't even get it.
Radiant's
The
bottom
catapult.
tower
That catapult, man.
You know, the
What a
thing is
journey.
with missing tower hits now is that it is much more costly to miss them because they increased how much money you get from last hitting the tower, I think by like 100 or something like that. So that's like 2 creep kills that you just missed for not getting the last hit.
That's really sad for him.
It hurts so much.
He's catching up, however. He's second in the list of most farm here. He used to be 5. In terms of net worth, he's the first just because of that Midas. And even though he killed less creeps, he still gets more gold per creep for every time he uses that Midas, which 190 gold, it's pretty much something between 4 and 5 creeps worth of gold.
Yeah.
So he used it, he has it on cooldown right now and it's irking me, but
Radiant's
he used
middle
it
tower
probably
is
a
under
good
attack.
6 to 8 times right now. That really adds up.
This Invis is about to run out on Quickfire. You know, I've been watching some of the rotations and stuff, and it seems to me that a lot of the times...
Oh, he's going to run right into Koikfa.
Well,
is he gonna? I thought he could have won on that, but
Yeah.
maybe he was scared of getting silenced out. Way too. Gonna go for the TP out, and he's not gonna make it because there is a Yules, but Koikfa finds a pick off in the back. It's gonna be on Fly. Trixie coming in as well. Way too. Gonna swap his
nice.
way to death. I was gonna say out, but then I realized, yeah, he's still not getting away even with that swap. And here
Again.
come the rest of Liquid. They want to try to pursue this. Spirit comes out, going for the Echo Stomp. Immediate Orchid onto Hani, and he's going to get blown up straight away. Ball in from Koikfa. He is going to get clipped by the Poison Nova. TC also pops the BKB. Not sure if that was necessary.
Gem.
But still 3 down on the side of Fnatic. Fly's going to be up in a second, though, because this is port, and that's just kind of what happens.
What has Trixie been accomplishing in this game so far?
I'll be honest. I forgot Trixie was in the game for a while.
Yeah.
He's kind of just been farming. Like, he hasn't really been contributing to fights that much.
Dyer's top
But
tower is under attack.
it's kind of been passive for the last 10 to 15 minutes or so. The majority of the kills happened actually during the laning phase of all things, which is kind of strange. You don't really see a lot of kills during the laning phase unless it's a tri-lane versus a tri-lane,
Dyer's
which
top
becomes
tower has fallen.
more and more rare nowadays, at least in 6.79. So
I was just going to say, I was watching off the camera that Wepas was controlling. I was looking at some of the rotations, and a lot of the time, people were just missing out on catching someone. They'd go looking for a gank in the jungle. They wouldn't get anyone. They'd go to a lane to try and get someone, and they'd TP out, or they'd hide. So a lot of what could have been kills or ganks instead just turned into nothing. So I think that's what kind of made it passive in the mid there.
Yep, that's true. However, with less and less towers, it's becoming more and more obvious that they will have to engage each other. Because you're running out as Fnatic of places to farm in. And as Liquid, you're running out of objectives to take, so you either go
gotta
on
fight.
Roche right now and then
Yeah.
you go fight, because there's nothing else to do.
There's a Deso on Weaver now.
Good call, by the way, Andy. You are, I think, 100% this DreamLeague so far in terms of item.
Yeah, he
Well-
just kills it right every time.
It's
It's my job.
Yeah, well, it is technically my job, but
It
it's
is.
not just my job. But whenever you're in these types of situations, you just weigh the pros and cons of the item choice. A BKB would have let him fight, but it also makes his hero one-dimensional in that he wouldn't be enough of a split push threat to really force a reaction from anyone, which is what you want out of a Weaver, first and foremost. You want to make the rest of the team move to his whim. And when he gets to the super late game, he can actually carry fairly well just because of his mobility. And eventually you'll pick up something like a heart, you know, just because you don't want to die in a burst combo. So I think that Deso is definitely the right call here.
Is this enough for them, though? Like, can they fight right now? Can they say, let's go game?
It could be enough. The one thing they have to worry about is there's double BKB. So Hani's ulti is not that strong anymore. They just have to focus their targets very well. And they're going to do just that. They're going to find TC before he's able to pop his BKB at all. And that's going to be a very easy pick. And he just made a basher, so there is no buyback. They could potentially go for Roshan here. And they're just gunning for it. Yeah, they're just running right to the pit.
Without Night Stalker, do they have to still be careful about Bulva and his ultimate and just him being annoying with the Storm Spirit
Radiant's
jumping? I
bottom
think
tower
Storm
is
Spirit
under
can get a good pickup, even without the Night Stalker. I'm not sure Fnatic is really safe in taking this Roshan.
Well, they saw one TP away.
Yeah.
So they could, fight this 4-on-4. Spirit's going to be scouting things out. Walking straight into the pit, but Roshan's already dead. Desolator damage is going to be enough.
Sean has
Would have been
fallen
funny if
to
the
the
Spirit
ground.
took Roshan.
Yeah.
Dire's
It doesn't
top
really,
tower is under attack.
Damage him?
yeah.
It's hard to say.
It does, but it's not very much.
It's Tico.
Yeah.
Well, it does reduce Roshan's magic resistance by a lot.
Lions managed to get a blink dagger, by the way.
Who? Lion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Roshan kill helped. And when you get a Lion with this power of initiation, he's also level 11 now, just now. His Finger of Death becomes a little bit more scary.
Yep. 725.
Well, not only more scary, but it's a minute off the cooldown.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Which
And
was
that's
pretty
the
big.
thing.
That is huge.
And that's the thing. Eric keeps on farming. He has the Aegis now, so with the Aegis and a Linkes, I don't think you can really kill him without investing less than 4 people.
Yeah, and this is what they need, because what you want from Fnatic's lineup right now is to be able to weather the BKBs. That way you can have heroes like Lion or Puck or Timbersaw actually deal a decent chunk of damage. And if the Weaver dies in the time the BKBs are up, then he still has an Aegis to come back after the fact. So focusing Weaver would be the absolute worst thing Liquid could do in a team fight, because he's going to essentially negate the BKBs, then your supports and your other core hero Timbersaw can actually deal some semblance of damage. And Trixie's also going to have a Hex soon. So this game is still very far from over, and delaying a game, regardless of whether or not you have a better late game composition, the game can be decided by just 1 or 2 fights. It's 36 minutes in now, and we're starting to get to that point where even though there's a pretty good golden experience lead for Liquid, 1 fight turns that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. At the same time, we have to look at Liquid, and they have been executing
Radiant's
better
middle tower is
overall
under
in
attack.
terms of team fights. So I don't think Liquid is particularly scared of going into that engagement. Of course, the Weaver is becoming a problem, and it becomes harder just because they don't have that level advantage that they might have had before. The goal advantage is still in their level, in their favor, but at this point, when you can't really talk much about gold advantage when the other team has hexes and things that can disrupt you and just immediately kill one of your guys, because if one of your guys is worth, I don't know, like the Storm is 14k gold,
Right.
then by getting him killed immediately, that's a 14k gold advantage that immediately disappears.
By the way, didn't Fnatic win their first 4 and then lose their games since then, right?
Yeah, which was, one of them was against Liquid,
Yeah.
and the other one was
it
VP, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, that one was a bit
Dire's
surprising.
bottom tower is
I
under
wasn't
attack.
really shocked when Liquid beat Fnatic for the first time, but I was kind of surprised that VP were able to take a game off of them.
And then VP took a game off Na'Vi as well, right? With the level 1 Roche.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good game.
That
It's
was
just
like a-
Fnatic being... They were trying this strat with the roaming Sanking at the Invoker mid. Just didn't work out for them. It was such a greedy lineup that required them to have absolute control of the first 10 minutes of the game in order for them to actually be something during the mid game. And the moment they just lost one fight or the Sanking didn't get enough kills, everything was useless because that Invoker had to farm with the Midas and do nothing at all. Sun was level 2, 8 minutes into the game. The rest of the heroes didn't do much by themselves, and the enemy was getting golden items. So, not a good game for Fnatic. But this, however, is a completely different story. And actually, I really like this game, even though it's become slow-paced. Now we're below the 1 kill a minute line, which we were way ahead before. At the same time, I think it's kind of a game of statements. Fnatic is saying, we're going to turtle, get into the late game, and the late game will dominate. And Liquid at the same time is, we're going to establish enough control so that even if we get into the late game, we'll still have the reins of this game, and we're going to defeat you not by strength of heroes at any point of the game, but rather by proper and better execution. And this is the build-up that's being created right now, because we haven't seen that fight.
No, there is going to be one big fight for sure,
We saw the kind of like the first part, but it's kind of like when in the story you see the guy fighting against the bad guy at the beginning and he loses because it didn't really work and he didn't have the montage part as well of the movie.
Yeah, he's got to have the montage.
You have to.
This is the post-montage Fnatic for the next fight, So they've been lifting things, running up and down hills, going up and down some steps, on a treadmill.
Say Adrian. But in general, now we're in that moment where that fight will matter. And is Fnatic up to par? Can they take this? Can they rely on the fact that they have this greedy Weaver that kind of paid off in a way?
Well, when the game goes 40 minutes, your Midas has paid off because they haven't lost to Rax, and heck, they still have 2 tier 2 standing. So I call that a victory.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, they still have only taken 1 tower themselves. They've killed the safe lane. But the thing is, when you win team fights at this late in the game, you're going to get like 2 towers to push anyway. So if they can manage to get a good fight going for them, and out of the back of 2 hexes, I think that's not too stretched of a possibility, you know? I think if they get a good initiation, if they catch out TC, they catch out Koikfa, a swap, if it doesn't happen, it's a dead hero. Like, they're going to need way 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Daedalus now on Weaver.
Oh, full Daedalus.
Yeah, that's some damage. And again, it's just about the threat of the Weaver. It's like, if you ignore me, I'm going to do so much damage during the engagement that you're going to wish you didn't ignore me. And then if you go for me, and we get your BKBs, then it's still the same exact situation that I described before. Oh, teleport from Koikfa. Stun from Fly, unfortunately. He was a little off the mark there. Yeah, no tail pings, and he's like, he was over here, you big dummy.
Yes, sir, he's here. Check, guys, check. He has to be there. And they're like, shut up, you're drunk.
And he's like, I got it.
No.
It was a ruse.
Yeah. So I like this Vengeful Spirit pickup. The Heaven's Halberd, again, makes him way more tanky because of that evasion and also because of the strength that he gets. But also, the Weaver really doesn't have a BKB, nor he's planning to go for one. Now, Heaven's Halberd, I think it procs Lincoln,
it
but
does.
It can be a way to remove the Lincoln, and even if it isn't, if you halberd the Weaver, what does he do? He just sits there for 3 seconds thinking about life. 4 seconds thinking about life. And the universe and everything. Even though universe is
that might give you
here.
enough time to, say, kill Lion, Venno, Puck, something like that, one of those 3.
The biggest factors for me right now, aside from the fact that, of course, Era has a tremendous amount of farm, is Koikfa on the side of Liquid because he has Hex and Orchid, which essentially means he can ball in, he can Hex on one, Orchid the other, and BKB, and essentially stop 2 people from doing anything for a pretty long amount of time.
And grab a third.
Yeah, but he has to Hex Hani. He can't use Orchid on Hani. He has to Hex, and then he can use the Orchid on somebody like Fly. And that negates the entirety of Fnatic's disables for at least 3.5 seconds. So I think that's going to be the biggest indicator, is the initiators. And then the other one, of course, is Hani, because he's the one with the actual blink dagger. Sure, Fly has one, but you're really looking for Hani to make the big play in the fight, the big coil, really nice silence, and being able to catch somebody out. So it's going to be a game of initiation. Just whoever gets the better one is pretty much going to win the fight.
And now Liquid tried to smoke, but unfortunately they thought that Fnatic was going to be in the jungle. Fnatic was farming their ancients, so now the jungles. The smoke kind of wasted there, unless Fnatic decides to go greedy. I wouldn't count Trixie out of that. But then again, this kind of transitions into, well, we didn't find anything, so we're going to push top. And now it's daytime, so they will have to push with Darkness Night, but only Darkness Night. However, I think Night Stalker is already level 16, so that
He's
is-
18.
Yeah, he's 18. So that's not a problem for them because that night is still long. However, if the encounter for whatever reason extends too much, might be a problem for Night Stalker during the day. It's not that
Rest
good.
in peace, Extend. We'll miss you.
Yes.
Actually, I don't know if we're playing any more of those particular ads, but I loved them.
I
To be
love them.
honest, they grew on me.
They were very popular.
And nothing wrong with AP.
Yeah,
But-
I agree.
I like how he throws punches into the air. It's like, what's
well, yeah,
up,
but
maybe?
Damaga did that as well when he did his version. You saw
Yeah.
that one, right?
Yeah.
What are Fnatic doing here? Look, they're all poised. Look at this.
We are poised to strike.
They're waiting for something.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, you always hide in a spot where you see the lanes pushing in, and you're like, okay, somebody's going to come down here to farm this lane. Like, for example, Koikfa,
there he is.
who is just teleported to tier 2. Now, if he gets spotted and hexed by a blink, he could very well die before there's any reaction coming out from Liquid, but he knows that possibility
Radiant's
is there.
bottom tower
So he's
is
just
under
sitting in a
attack.
spot where it's very difficult to engage
he
onto him.
jumped on
Era
it.
is actually going to walk in. They spotted him. Hani goes in. He wants the hex, but he's not going to do it because he sees way too. Doesn't want the swap to come out. Teleport reaction coming in. Bulba's going to be coming. And everyone's just going to back up instead.
Back up, back up.
Yep.
No fights today.
I think if Hani reacted a bit faster there, they might have been able to just get a free kill.
And just run away. Yeah.
Well, not run away, but if you kill Koikfa, you go. Like, you go kill everyone. You don't just kill one of the highest net worths in the game and then back. You freaking game on that.
Koikva again. Now we're going back to his previous games with Nature's Prophet. We talked about how he was also good with the Clockwork. Now he's playing a safe lane Storm Spirit, which is something that's kind of unusual for him. But how it's been working? It's been working amazingly well because he's getting a lot of farm. He gets the items that the team needs. Without Koikva, as you said, Liquid has no chance of winning a fight against Fnatic. But with Koikva there, they can disable and they can do so much that it's kind of scary. This guy, Liquid, normally it used to be an US only team, but they decided to pick a German guy. And we're not saying that like it's not only about having people from the same country or the same language. It's also the fact that when you're playing on different pings, you're playing on different time schedules. It's always hard for a team like this to decide to go with someone from overseas. But clearly, with the skill level of this guy, it totally paid off for Team Liquid. And it's been an excellent pickup for them.
Definitely. Yeah.
What a player.
What a player.
It's good.
Fnatic, they're going for Roshan. They're going to get spotted out. Era does a ton of damage, which is important to keep in mind because as soon as a fight happens, he has to be the focal point for Liquid. Like, they have to try to go for him, at least in some way. Otherwise, he's just going to absolutely melt people. And Liquid, they're still standing on the high ground. They're letting this drop very low. Going to see another Spirit used. Fluff on the high ground. Trixie going to get the heck out of his dodge as well. Everyone's
Roche
gonna
is very
retreat to
low
the high
now.
ground. Yeah, he's at about 25%. Maybe a little bit lower than that, actually.
Someone has to
Liquid's
the
still
jump.
kind of going around. He wants to go for Hani. They're going to find him, fly with the immediate blink hex on a Koik, but no BKB. And they're going to take Koikva down. He's forced to buy back into the game. Bulba, in the meantime, gets a decent Earth Splitter.
and
Manages to get no tail. Trixie, he's going to die as well. Buyback on the side of Fnatic. Make it 2. Venomancer and Timbersaw both back in the game, so both teams returning with their full 5. However, Bulba is short a BKB charge right now. Koikva falls into the pit. They're still going for it. I think Fnatic have to go for this. Hani is in the base, though. Hani is not there, and they get an Echo Stomp on the high ground. Now Fly's going to get picked off by Koikva, who also got the Aegis, so even though Era does a ton of damage, they might be able to take him down once. Here comes Hani. He manages to get a double silence and a triple coil. TC getting very low. The Crystal Maiden ulti just coming out and evaporating the remainder of Fnatic. More buybacks. Fly and Era are both in the game. Hani going for the Yules, potentially the blink away. No, he goes for the John instead, and Fly just biffs his stun. Doesn't even hit Koikfa. Would have been an Aegis regardless, but still it would have been nice to get the Aegis as opposed to nothing. Now Hani's going to be dying again. It's the patented dieback. Era as well.
GG.
2 die, and they just say GG.
Yeah.
104
Execution.
seconds left on the Weaver.
Execution.
Dyer's
You
bottom
have
tower
to
is
execute
under
properly
attack. Dyer's
when you get into late game, because if you don't, then this happens. Unfortunate for Era because he got bashed by the by the Night Stalker, and that pretty much lost in the game. But at the same time, you can't get yourself being zoned out of Roshan that way, and you can't get 4-man stomped.
Yeah.
by
Was
Bova.
it 3 or 4?
I think it was 4. Could have been 3.
The CMO,
I saw 3 for sure. I didn't know if I saw 4, but
they ate too much. They ate the Stomp, they ate the CMO, and they gave up Roshan.
But it's important to note that it wasn't just the coordination, because the coordination was obviously there for the reasons that you just mentioned. But the biggest factor for me is they actually had map control for so long that they had the money to just say, okay, Quakefoot dies, doesn't pop his BKB, we'll buy out. They had their tier 1 tower mid to go just teleport right back to and go back to the Roshan pit. So it's like instead of Quakefoot just being out of the fight, he doesn't even have to buy Boot to Travel. He's just there again. Normally what Fly did there should have been a game-winning fight because he knew that they were going to initiate on Honey. He blinks into a very good spot, gets a straightaway Hex. They kill Quakefoot. You think, oh man, Fnatic totally have this fight now. But then you hear the buyback and you say, their tier 1 mid is alive.
You guys worried about this earlier before the game started as well. You said error on the Weaver. You didn't know if it fit the lineup. You got ahead of Midas. Did he, for you, perform at the end?
I think he performed for the game. Given the circumstances that he had to deal with, I think that he played a good game. I think that his item progression was about as good as you could have asked it to be. He didn't have a BKB because he knew he needed damage, so he just went for the Midas Lincolns and then straight into Deso. But you have to do that. You can't just be a BKB Midas Weaver and just do nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be a threat, otherwise they're just going to ignore you and kill the rest of your team.
All right, well, we'll see what's going to happen after the break, guys, because obviously you've been playing for this over on Facebook /Rocka. And we've gone straight to the third game, which was Fnatic against TL. TL has won that. Fnatic EG and Team Liquid EG haven't been played. Not sure exactly what the admins will want to do with those games. I know one of them potentially is already a forfeit. So Evil Geniuses and Fnatic could be up next. If that's going to be the case, you'll find out in a moment, because when we come back for a commercial break, we'll have all the updates. See you then.
Hi, I'm AP and I want to explain to you why the Kone XTD is my perfect choice for gaming Dota 2. With the 8200 DPI Pro Aim R3 laser sensor and the TDCU, it ensures maximum precision for farming your lane or hitting crucial skill shots. In addition, I combine timers for Roshan or even cooldowns by using Easy Shift, which adds a secondary function to each button.